Thoth the Great. If you have become accustomed to the life you live without watching yourself, you will not be able to recognize who you become when you connect with me. I am not here to make it easy, but I want you to recognize and trust the way to reach. And making it unnecessarily difficult has no place either. The gift of divine connection is the recognition that you are divine within yourself. And it is very normal to recognize divinity within another before you can see it within yourself. To comprehend me as I am could ruin this for you, which is why communication had been limited. And yet, cultivating your own center without full embrace of the breath that you are divine presence cannot last. If you stay addicted to who you have been for the presence of the spirit of momentum of karma that you carried with you for centuries, you will get bored and you will leave. Now to you, in your current mind frame, maybe this not feel a realistic possibility, but I assure you it is. The nature of your relationship to this life brings vibration to what you do. If you die without having lived the vibrant life, there will be very little appeal in returning. And I do want you to come back. It is not an open-ended invitation, however. The work that you must do to stay here must be invested in a way that makes you and the world a better place to be. If you are to conceive of this reality, you must surrender into it well before you know what it is. I will not allow you to consider yourself beyond this moment. I will not allow you to become something that you cannot foresee. I will not allow you to go too far until I do. It's crucial that you be given the space to see and feel your own limits. If you are to conceive of them, that's something that exists before you do. You fail to recognize that your weakness of your experience, some people can go further than others, and that's fine. You become accustomed to reality in which most beings like you exist within limits that they are very similar to your own. To expand your appreciation for the true nature of being alive, you must learn to appreciate the breadth of existence. The spirits that inhabit animals are not so dissimilar to your own. And indeed, I am not so dissimilar to you. I simply stay. To stay is to commit to learning to be woven with this place. Your first experience of this may feel like change. It makes you feel restrained, contained in a matter that perhaps is closer to imprisonment than freedom. And yet, there is no freedom in being unable to commit. Your inability to commit to any reality is not a virtue. You may know yourself as a traveler, one to explore, and this is good. And yet, if you explore within your standards, you're drifting far more than you realize. The lack of depth in your experience reflected in your inability to be present with anything that you do. If you are to explore, be good at it. Go deep in what you do. And when you leave, live well. This is what the earth teaches you. She is not interested in keeping everyone who comes here. She is not willing to deal with an eternal relationship to your karma if you were not willing to deal with the true nature of your own karma. The attempt to escape the forces that you bear is not a gift, it is a curse. Until you recognize it is, you will not become someone that you want to be. The gift of presence is not here to hurt you. Yet it does hurt to expose yourself to the reality, the raw presence of nature in a current form. Do you think she did this on a whim? The existence of such a brutality woven into the circumstances of this planet is not an absolute. It isn't like this everywhere. Yet, in truth, if you expand your frame of reference, what you will find is simply the opportunity to go much deeper into being in the present here, along with the terror of ending of this opportunity. The pain and suffering that you will experience in this way is a direct relationship to an ability to experience something that you could never otherwise lived. Without shortness, the brevity of the agility of the morals, you will not know the feeling and the depth of the presence that the earth gives you. And until you extract yourself from the lie that you only live one life, you cannot fully comprehend the gift of moving through the transition. Moments of death are far less devastating than you can expect purposely possible, in a way that it's far less of suffering over a practically instinct. Along with this ending, it comes the gift with the new beginning. And what you fail to see from a restricted present within the blinders for mortal life is that you have given the opportunity to experience what you will be doing next before you die. The presence of the future is here for you. It is not only accessible, it is wanting your participation. You have the invitation in your heart. Tune in to where you will be going next. And in this, you embrace the next step while you leave the last one, and your body becomes little more than a skin to shed or leave behind. The terror that often has inhabits this transition is entirely derived from the lack of faith in what happened after your death, and unwillingness to see beyond this point is in many cases not only unnecessary, unwise, and unwanted, it is actively born. You may think that you fear what you left behind, but in many cases what you fear is not all that frightening. You have within this lifetime to expose to far more worse than terrors in the form of observation. Far more people than you comprehend. Create art out of life. They create living presence of possibility within a human form. They show the world something, often something over. And yet every element of scripted factor is measured in the completion of the experience and tied up in an elegant knot. Have you been exposed to this experience? You stare at it and you stare back at yourself, and your own suffering doesn't look so bad. Much more from the trauma on planet Earth function in this manner than you might think. Yes, ages full of suffering has existed. Yes, wars are atrocious, and the shared experience of violence endings. It's over when it's over, and when you start anew, you embrace something that put it into perspective. The gift of the passion, of the hatred, of the fight, of the violence is not particularly deep. It becomes thrown within a space to do this. You will always lose because the physics of the spiritual experience in this form are extraordinarily limited. There's nothing you can do to make it more fascinating than it truly is, and there is nothing you can do to make it more fascinating than love. This love is so eternal, is so resilient, that no matter what you do, it keeps returning to you. A presence itself in your mind. It draws experiences that give you what you need to thrive, and it offers you perspective on the deaths. A smile, a glance can drown out the memories of horror far more easily than you may think, and thus you come into perspective with life on earth. Get over it, how frightening it is. You will put here to know yourself as the being who lives many lives. And as you identify with this truth and embrace it more deeply, nothing of your fear within this life has the same intensity or presence. You are giving yourself the truth. Trust that you can move whatever you stand in your way, and remain with the breath of the life that you are living. Stay true to it, knowing that the actual source of your fear, the fear of being in your body, in the now, is derived from this extraordinary terror of mortality itself. And yet in a lifetime, lived full of beautiful moments and sensations of dramatic changes and depth of emotions, passionate and embraces of the possibilities of being you. And then in a moment of death, and then you get to start again. When you fully trust this, that you will get to start again, you can fully give yourself permission to be here. You can fully experience a cherish of each moment, because the irony is so often people refuse to live because they are afraid that they will die. People refuse to live because they are afraid that fully living will make the death of that much more painful, and that truly it is most painful not to live. Don't you want to live with your full potential, or the deepest suffering that comes from missing opportunity to cherish what it is? You are the opportunity to turn around and stare at yourself, realize who you truly are, and embrace it by breathing into this present. You will discover a wide range of fascinating experiences that you have overlooked, that have you not willing to recognize. Leave it or believe it, because the word of how it is. The true gift of living comes from within you. You can wrap the joy of life in many shared experiences, including those you share with your true self. Many gifts, trust, faith, wake you up and embrace the life that you are living.